Welcome to our express video that deals with budgeting. I hope you remember from F2 some aspects of budgeting. A budget is basically a quantitative plan that addresses our future. You know that budgetary control seeks to monitor performance against the budget in a timely way so that there can be deviations identified and rectified. It can only work as proper effort is, let's say, invested into the targets and to the measurement and to the follow-up of these figures. However, goal congruence at all levels of the organization must exist for a budget, so we must make sure that everyone in the company are seeking for the same goals. There are some problems when we are discussing about conventional budgets. We can game the system, we can play it around, we play with the results. It can be flexible, and in today's economic environment, it's kind of a need to have flexible budgets that can be updated very frequently. They are built up on a top-down model. That means that it's imposed from the top management towards the lower levels, and that can be quite demotivating. And there can be a low level of connection with the company strategy. There can be different purposes built in there. So let's see what kind of budgets we have. We have a fixed budget that's never adjusted to the actual volume of the output. Yeah, it's something we do at the beginning of the year, and that remains as it is up until the end of the year. Note the difference between flexible and flexed budget. A flexible budget is kind of a scenario. It's several scenarios of fixed budget. We do it at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year we just pick up the one that is applicable to our case. The flexed budget, however, is the budget that is done after the year end, let's say, or after the period ends, and it's just updating the fixed budget with the actual levels of the activity. Right? Prices and costs will remain the same, but the activity levels will be changed. Zero-based budget is something that's the opposite of incremental budgeting. If you know incremental budgeting, it's just something that we take the previous year's budget and we add or deduct something from it. For example, inflation or expected changes in volume or in prices. While a zero-based budgeting, it means that budget owners must justify the entire budget building from zero. It has a three-step approach. Remember that decision packages that must be defined, evaluating and ranking those packages, and then allocating resources across the packages. And each budget owner has to build up these decision packages for each period. Activity-based budgeting is just something similar to activity-based costing. Now, this time there is no budget owner, but budgeted activity cost. And then we have to find out what will be our budgeted amount based on the budgeted activity cost, because we have a demand for the activity and a unit cost for the activity, and that will be our budgeted amount. Obviously, as ABC, also this is more detailed and accurate than traditional budgets, just at the same, it's very time consuming. Incremental budgeting is just what I explained you. It's like a lazy man's budget. You just take the previous year's and add something on the top of it. And that's the only amount and only work we do. It's actually usable in kind of a fixed environment, in a stable environment where not many things are going on. Then we can use this approach. Otherwise, it's kind of inefficient because it uses old assumptions and builds in all the deficiencies of the previous budget into the current budget. Quantitative analysis in budgeting, this is including methods like Hilo method and regression analysis. These were covered in F2 in management accounting. Learning curves, it is something that we can use in variance analysis, and we should build this into our budgets. It's applicable only, as we know, to high labor using environments that use high labor amount, because learning curves are applicable to human. As they work, they get something out of it. They do faster, they do more efficient, so the time required to manufacture a unit is decreasing up until a certain moment. That's called a steady state. A short example for you: a product requires 20 hours of labor per unit at a cost of $6 per hour. A traditional labor standard would expect 4 units to be produced in 80 hours at a labor cost of 480. If 90% learning curve effect applies, then one would expect the 4 units to be completed in less time. How long will they require? So then remember the formula, it's given to you in the exam. Cumulative time required per unit is Y. Time to produce the first unit is A, that's 20 in our example. Cumulative number of units produced is 4 in our example B. For this one you need a scientific calculator, and R is the learning curve, that is 90 that you'll use here, and that will be logarithm of 0.9 divided by logarithm of 2. The solution, remember, it's 16, but is the average time per unit if we produce 4 units. So the total time required for 4 units is the Y that we get as a result and multiplied by 4. Please also do not forget the behavioral aspects of budgeting. There are relationships between types of budget, the budgeting process, and the motivation of employees. You can imagine that the top-down budget might be necessary from a coordination point of view, but it can be demotivating to employees, because employees might have the impression that something as a result, or their performance will be measured against some figures that are imposed by the company's top management. However, it can be strongly linked to the company's objectives, the company's strategy, but still it can be demotivating for the employees if the company's top management does not take into consideration the employees' individual requirements or information that is provided by these employees. Just imagine line managers, they know that they cannot produce, for example, more than the capacity of the facility allows, because it's, I don't know, because of weather conditions, it's too hot during the day, so they cannot work overtime, because employees do not have efficiency during their work. If in top-down budgeting, these information will not get to the top management, so that they cannot take it into consideration. As such, the budgets will be set up in such a way that will push the limits of the workers, and such they can get demotivating. On the same page, top-down budgeting might be quicker than bottom-up, because you don't waste time with endless meetings getting all the people involved. Bottom-up is the opposite way of doing budgets. It allows for useful employee input, but they may create exaggerated expectations on the part of the employee. Also, it can, let's say, allow for budgetary slack that's built in by the employees to make sure that they will reach their targets. But it will take into consideration all the information I mentioned above in top-down that was ignored. As a downside of bottom-up is that it can be quite time-consuming. Just imagine it has to be defined up to which level we are going down, and what kind of information are we building in to our budgets. Unrealistic budgets can be demotivating. Also, budgets that are easily to be achieved are also demotivating, because remember, people will stop working when they reach their targets. So companies shall set up budgets so as they are motivating for employees. In the next video, we'll discuss about standard costs and variance analysis, another interesting topic of our syllabus. See you.